When you're one of the accused in a case which involves enough evidence to fill up a hallway, your lawyers are going to need to rely on one key strategy: attacking the evidence gathering process along with the evidence itself. Fortunately, liars are usually found out quickly in these scenarios, and unless there are any cardinal errors committed by the prosecution, in the case of the hospital's concession, liars don't have much room for maneuvering. In today's hearing in the case of the Republic of Malta versus disgraced former Health Minister Chris Fearn and his former colleagues and associates, we saw plenty of angry posturing about how evidence was gathered in the magisterial inquiry, the very same one that led to an avalanche of charges being pressed against Fearn and over 30 other persons who were involved in the hospital's concession. During the testimony of former FCID Police Inspector George Frendo, we heard the former police officer describe how he was in charge of executing the search warrants in the offices of the legal firm DF Consultancy Limited. The shareholders of this company are three of the accused in the case: Giancarlo Farrugia, Kenneth Daguara, and Kevin Daguara. Several members of the police corps already testified about how the searches were carried out using a list of keywords which inquiring magistrate Gabriella Vella had asked them to use. Today, Frendo said the same thing, though defense lawyers insisted on a specific point this time around. On behalf of his clients DF Consultancy Limited, defense lawyer Franco De Bono accused the witness of breaking the law when carrying out these searches. Though the search warrant named DF Consultancy Limited specifically, the police force seized documents bearing DF Advocates logo, a separate company whose address is listed at the same place and is owned by the same individuals. Specifically, the alleged breach of the law occurred on two counts according to the defense: the fact that legally confidential material is excluded from search warrants, and the claim that these individuals were not aware they were being considered as suspects by the police when those search warrants were being executed. After a lot of theatre, the defense formally asked the court to expunge all the evidence that was gathered from DF Consultancy's office, basically removing it from the case entirely. The prosecution objected by arguing that since we are still in the prima facie phase, this court's sole purpose is just to gather evidence. On this, Magistrate Leonard Caruana will be making a decision at a later stage. We also heard a lot about how the court's experts were appointed to assist with the inquiry, another familiar theme that was mentioned towards the beginning of this case. Today, the defense insisted on knowing how these experts were appointed and how they were paid for their work. We will be learning more about this tomorrow. We cannot exclude the important testimony of one of the former members of the government's negotiation committee, RSM Limited representative George Gregory. This was one of the committees which effectively approved the awarding of the hospital's concession to VGH. Gregory, who was also appointed to the steering committee by Projects Malta, stated that none of the committees he was on carried out any kind of due diligence about the ultimate beneficial owners of VGH, where the financing they claim to have came from, and that he does not remember too many details about the process beyond the instructions they were asked to follow as committee members. To get all the details about today's hearing, don't forget that you can access our live blogs on NEWZ.md. See you tomorrow.